last year I decided to take on one of the biggest challenges of my life by building my dream car, this Evo 8. And it turned out to be one of the most challenging and difficult cars ever. But now I need a new project car and I don't have one right now. I don't have any money because I spent everything I had on this car. But my friend Freddie says that he has something for me. So let's go check that out. Ta-da! It's your new car! What is this?
It's your problem now.
This is a project that we started a long time ago and we never finished.
Yep. Now it's yours.
Thank you.
There we go.
Oh, come here.
All right, so that's legally binding. It's now his. I don't want to do this.
Let me explain to you guys what just happened. Back in the day, there was a car that I loved to look at. I played video games that had this car in it. It looked fast, it handled great, and they were extremely rare with only 75 examples ever made for the whole world. That car was the Noble M400. Freddie bought this car over a year ago with the intentions of rebuilding it, but shortly after he picked up the P1. So the P1 taking up all of his time and me being finished with the Evo build, it was now time for something for me to rebuild. As I started looking at projects, I started talking to Freddie about it, he thought that the Noble would be better off in my hands. But now let me explain what this is here that you just saw.
All right, so Jack, this is your car, but that's also your car. I'm going to explain. This is a Noble M12 GTO 3R that is... It's a little bit fire damaged. Okay, don't touch that. Don't touch. It's weight reduction. And this is the Noble M400, and I got this as a parts car. There's no parts on it. But what I'm thinking is what you should do is you should take these and then just
blend them together. Yeah. Is that the sound that it makes when you blend them together?
Yeah, that's what a Noble M400 sounds like.
Oh. I thought that was,
Okay, behind me is, well, there's a lot of parts here. So you have suspension components, you got a radio, look at that, it's Kenwood, and you have an engine. So this is an engine from a Noble M400. This is actually really special because it's a Ford Duratec 3.0 V6, and it has forged rods, pistons, like it's actually built, I believe it was built by Roush, you said?
Yep.
Built by Roush, and it has 2 turbochargers, except for the fact that this one's missing a turbo.
Yeah.
And there's a 6-speed manual transmission with a limited slip differential.
That's right.
And it's out of a Ford Mondeo, which we did not get here. And it all goes right there, right in that, in the hole. Now, I don't know what your mind is going through right now because there's a lot of parts here. And tell me what's happening in Jack's world. How are you going to put this together?
I don't remember how it came apart. This is a lot of work. This is
yes, it is. Yeah,
I'm a bit beside myself. I mean, the engine is complete-ish, minus the turbos and your intake manifold here, but
we don't know if it runs.
Yeah, it doesn't run. Does it run?
I don't know.
We don't know.
I don't know. That's for you to find out.
So this is a bit of a challenge. This might be a little more than the last one. So I'm
a little bit.
I'm a bit nervous, but at the same time, I'm excited because I see things through a different view than most people. I have a problem.
I think we both have that problem.
So
So in terms of technical, mechanical stuff, what do you think is the first thing you have to do on this thing?
I think the first thing I need to do is get this car rolling at first, put the chassis together so that it's a rolling chassis, get the engine started if it starts. And then if it starts, from that point on, we are doing
That's done. It's done. Then it's done. No, then after that, it's all the body work, which is the stuff that you want to do.
It would be, so that's kind of my specialty, but I think the biggest obstacle is going to be figuring out where everything goes because it just looks like salad right now. It's mixed together.
It is mixed together quite a bit. Do you know where this goes? Because I don't.
Nope.
Okay. Now we should probably explain that there's a reason why these cars look the way they do. When I got the car, it looked a lot more like a car.
Yes.
It actually rolled out.
Yeah.
And you did a lot of the work, taking this stuff apart.
We took it apart. That's what we did.
Yes, yes, and we put it over here, and
There's
you're
some
gonna
over there too.
You're gonna find out where all the bolts go.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Not looking forward to that.
No.
Well, the good thing is we have the other one over here, so I can do some comparative type of stuff. I mean,
Yes.
not a lot of this is useful, but can at least take some of the bolts from this and say, oh, that bolt's the same size as this bolt, and put that there. Because I think I remember one thing that the front end had been taken apart.
Yes.
So somebody had messed with this car a little bit, and there was parts missing from it, like we've discovered here. But I think that there's, for the most part, all the parts in the back were, untouched. No suspension had been taken out.
So we should
like
we
that.
should show the front end of this
Yeah,
because
let's take a look.
Yeah, the front end of this car is quite cool. First off, because it has a front clamshell. You know how I love clamshells.
Ooh.
So you take this off, and it's a steel structure. It's steel box frame. But this one has been in a bit of an accident because
She's
it's
got
a
a
little
boo-boo.
bendy.
She's got a boo-boo. So that's where the sway bar mounts, and then when the control arm ripped off, the sway bar decided to go that way, causing that part of the car to go that way and all kinds of other stuff. So there's a lot of things that are kind of a mystery, but we will figure them out. But
Yeah.
the good thing is we have this.
Yeah, and this, honestly, it did have a really big fire, but the fire was like from here back.
Yeah.
So in theory, this should all be okay.
Yeah, the fans should be usable. Like all these little things here should be usable. And I believe the suspension on this is actually better than this one. The coilovers are something the guy added after the fact. I believe.
Okay. So if you just go zoop and then go whoop like that,
Yeah. We just need a wheel and a turbo.
there you go.
And we're good.
Yeah.
And drives.
You're totally fine. Okay.
This is like the opposite of floating. This one caught fire.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you
So-
like the floaters.
I do like the floaters. I am a floater.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we should probably show everybody how these two cars got to this state because it was a lot of work.
It was quite a bit.
Yeah.
With about 75% of the Noble M12 being absolutely useless, we ended up getting this Noble M400. This car had been in a minor accident. And by minor accident, as you can see here, it ripped the door off. Now with the car in the shop, the first thing that I wanted to do was cut out all of this broken glass. I ended up using 3 different tools, and the only tool that I could get to work was a tool called the Express tool. It's basically a sawzall with a long metal blade used to cut away the urethane holding the glass in place. Thanks to Car Vertical for sponsoring today's video. The next time you need a vehicle history report, go check out carvertical.com. Now I clean up the huge mess from the glass that was left behind all over the dash and the floor of the car. With all the broken glass out of the way and cleaned up, I used what's called a cold knife to pull the other pieces of glass. If you're like me, you're always on the hunt for the next project vehicle, like this R35 Nissan GTR. And as I go through the Car Vertical report, it has a green check mark indicating that this car has no odometer fraud. Next, I look at the theft report where there's another green check mark indicating this car has never been stolen. But as I go to the photos, I can see here pictures from the car crash auction website where the car has been in an accident. And then if I click on the damage report, it shows me that back in 2019, this car has been in an accident and was totaled. Thanks to Car Vertical for sponsoring today's video. The next time you guys need a vehicle history report, go to the link in the description below, use code JBI at checkout, and save 10% on your next Car Vertical check. Next up, I remove the door panel and then the door. Let's just say being a car guy can put you into some funny positions sometimes. And as you can see here, I had to get contorted a little bit just so I was able to get out the steering column. Next up, I pull out the radio. Now I move on to the steering rack where I found a bunch of loose parts. This is going to be one of the biggest and most challenging builds that I've ever done because there was a lot of things that really didn't make sense because they were already taken apart. Now I remove the brake lines along with the master cylinder and booster together.
With the front end disassembled, it was time to get the rear suspension and rear axles out of the way so that I was able to remove this engine. While removing the exhaust, I couldn't help but think to myself, this is definitely an area that we can improve upon. With the last bit of suspension components coming out of this car, the real challenge was about to start. Getting this engine out was insanely difficult. This is like 5 pounds of crap in a 1 pound bag.
Jack, this is like not even a half of a car. This is none of a car.
Yes, this is barely a car.
So you were a busy boy, and you took this entire thing apart, and this is the parts car, but we're going to be using a lot of the components of this car, namely the frame and chassis and part of the body, and this is the car we're building with the donor burnt shell. But back here, where there used to be an engine, you can see how kind of kit car-y it is. Like, everything is everywhere. Look at that. Look at that placement of lines and hoses. That's a nightmare. But the entire frame section is actually pretty well built, right?
Yeah, it's actually nice bracing everywhere. It's I really like how they have it set up. And you know, we've watched a few videos on these cars, seen a few things that they've done after the fact, like this bar here, so you can have access to the oil pan.
Yeah, that right there. So there's a Wheeler Dealers episode where I believe Ed China was trying to replace the oil pan because the oil pan doesn't allow for a lot of lateral movement. Sometimes there's oil starvation, but this is what's needed to get the oil pan off. So this is now a removable piece in the frame, and hopefully this doesn't break off. I don't think it should break off. I think it should be okay, right?
Nah, it's fine. It's fine. And it actually really tight tolerances. You can see, like, you could barely see where the line is.
Yeah.
On either side, but
or it's just pushed in that much because of the accident.
That could be possibly to one of the things that is. Yeah, it's not that good. But there is so many zip ties and lines throughout this thing that it is a nightmare to take apart. And it'll be much better when we put it back together, that's for sure.
Because then we can route things where they need to go, and we can custom make lines and all that stuff. So all this stuff is going bye-bye. It's not going to be a rat's nest anymore. And I don't know who owned this car before I did, so I don't know what modifications there are to a Noble M400. This might not be the stock configuration, but I wager that it probably is. But what we're interested in is in the front, right?
Yeah, let's go. Let's check out this is not the business end, but it's.
I mean, there's a lot of business going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
So this is the business end. And from back here, it sort of kind of looks like there's nothing wrong. And then you come up here and then you go, oh, so that's bent and that's bent. And you wrote over here, what is that, replace?
Replace, yeah.
Replace. You're gonna replace it.
Yeah. So when we took this car apart, we noticed there was, bent parts here and there, things like that. And we got the car in this condition. We talked about, like, the guy that we got it from replacing the upper and lower control arms. And obviously we didn't have a door or a pillar that yeeted off in the accident. And there's a little bit of some damage here to the firewall. So as I started looking at it more, and once I got it up in the air, I could actually see that there was a mark here where this actually twisted. So that's gonna have to be replaced. And this bar, which comes with all of this here, is gonna be replaced too. But it's easier to do it as one whole chunk. I think that's probably why I was thinking, you know, oh, we can do a bar here or that, you know, but nah, it's probably gonna be better just take it from here, here, and here, and then put the whole piece on, and then only replace this part on the suspension, but do a little bit of a repair to this part right here.
So this part right here, you can see the hole is oblonged, and then it looks like a control arm kind of snapped and dented this in. So we need to hammer this back out and then make a plate back here. That way, when we put a bolt through, it's not going to just move around and change camber settings or anything like that. Now, there are some methods of like maybe straightening these out, because these are steel, these aren't aluminum. Yeah. So they can be like pulled out, but why wouldn't we want to do this?
It's just box steel. It's super easy to change. Really, honestly, something like this, it's a kit car, so it really it wasn't designed to be a unique crash structure in the way where other vehicles are. But it's probably best just to replace this because it's not that thick. It's actually pretty thin. If I had to guess, maybe 12, 14 gauge.
So what you're saying is it's a death trap anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So if you go fast enough, don't worry about it.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, you know.
Just go faster. Go faster than you think you would.
Just send it.
Yeah, just send it all the time. Now, another thing is coming up here, we have all this stuff that goes back into that rat's nest back there. So we'll have to pull it from the front and get rid of everything and sort of make notes as to what goes where, because this did have AC, it still does have AC in it, and it did have some refrigerant in there. So we know that the system is holding pressure and it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, it had about 1.2 pounds of R134. We drained that, got that taken care of, and I mean, everything seems good on the car. The only thing that I noticed about the car that needs major work is the pillar and the front end. Everything else looks like we should be able to get it back together pretty quickly.
And one thing that's really cool about this car is the fact that you could take the body off and then paint everything off the car while we make this into a rolling chassis. Now, the thing that we don't know we need, or the thing that we know we don't have, is a bunch of components that didn't come in the M12, like the sway bar. The M400 has a sway bar in the front, the M12 doesn't. Also, it needs a turbo. Now, the M12 has two turbos. They could be rebuilt, but those are T25s, not T28s. This one needs a T28 because we have a turbo missing. And also, there's a bunch of odds and ends, like maybe some suspension components, maybe some bolts and hardware. So we're going to have to source all of that. We're going to have to get a windshield because the windshield was completely trashed. We're going to have to make a window on this side. This is our new door, and this is the way to open up the new door. And that's from a race car, and I don't want to keep that because that looks like doo-doo. So if we open it up, we'll see that it's completely bare. So it's going to have some fiberglass work done in here to accommodate all of these things, like a speaker and a roll-up window mechanism and a door latch and all that stuff. So this is going to have to be cut out. Well, not on this, but on the other door. We'll have to cut this out and then put that on here. I love working with fiberglass, don't you, Jack?
Yes.
That is a lie.
That was a lie. That
the
was
lie detector determined that was a lie.
Yeah. I really am not looking forward to it, but we have enough PPE to keep us safe, but at the same time, it's fiberglass, so it doesn't matter. It will get into the little crevices and cracks, and we'll itch for a week. So
yeah, it's like roaches. They'll always find a way in.
This is true. And they're always going to live. They're never going to die. They're always going to be there.
Now that you've seen exactly how the M400 got to looking like this, the next step is digging into the M12, taking all the good parts that we can salvage off that car so that we can save the M400. This is a super rare car, guys. They only made 75 of these cars. It is really unique. It's really cool. I love how the clamshells open up. I can't wait to get fabricating on this car. So in the next episode, we're gonna start fixing some fiberglass. We're gonna start cutting the front ends off of these cars and getting everything to where we can put this car back together and in one piece. And if you guys like the episode, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.